We welcome to the show Madelaine Newton. How's it going?
Very well, thanks. Very good, yeah.
So what are your memories from when the boat comes in?
Well, I mean, where do I start? It was a very, very formative time in my life. It was massively surprising to be offered such a big role in a major series. I mean, that was the first surprise, lovely shock and surprise. Wasn't really expecting it because it was one of those weird kind of dreams come true. You know, I was working in the theatre in Newcastle, and the producer, Leonard Lewis, wanted to make a series about the North East with very good North East writers, and he wanted authentic North East actors, and honestly, there weren't that many at the time, you know, who could do the accent with some authenticity. So he spotted me, and I was invited to meet him and another director and the writer. I took them to an Indian restaurant in Newcastle. About a week later, 10 scripts arrived through the post. I couldn't believe it. I was so young at the time. I was 21 at that point. I didn't even have an agent. So the first thing I had to do was get an agent, and it all happened very quickly. For me, and I had to find somewhere to live. That was a tough thing, living not exactly sofa surfing, but you know, friends of friends, spare rooms, and so on. I had an uncle in Shepherd's Bush. I stayed at his during one of the series. Took a long time. Took a long time before I could find somewhere to live in London.
So your character Dolly, she went for everything, didn't she, in the story?
Yes, she had a very eventful life, young Dolly. When the series opened, she was a young widow. And she lost her first husband in the war. And then she started a relationship with this very dashing Jack Ford, very aspiring. I don't think he was taking it very seriously. You know, he just fancied her. And he wasn't going to be able to have the sort of relationship that he wanted with Jessie because she was so prim and proper. And basically, Dolly seduced him.
Yeah.
And she got pregnant, and they had to marry. And then she lost the baby. So he didn't need to have married her at all. And the marriage was very unhappy. He was very, very unhappy, and he wasn't abusive towards her, but he didn't love her. He didn't want to be with her, and she was, you know, she was very unhappy as well. So she ended up leaving him for lovely John Nightingale from the Seton family, and she became a member of the Seton family, and she was very happy then.
Yeah, I do remember that scene with Jack and Dolly where Jack gives Dolly Jessie's ring. I mean, that was a really good scene.
Do you? I don't remember that at all. Do you know, the funny thing was I never saw the series. I have got it on tape, but I haven't watched it all because I went back to working in the theatre. And when it went out, I was working in the theatre. And it was before we had even VCR machines. You know, we didn't even have video recorders. I didn't have a telly. I never watched television because I worked mostly in the theatre in the North East. So I have memories which are blurry, I suppose. Overall, I remember it as being a very, you know, important time in my life. And you remember all the things that were going on around that time. Like, you know, during the second series, 1976, I got married. In 77, my mum was very ill. I was going up and down to Newcastle as often as I could because my mother was ill. So that sort of dominates, you know, my thoughts about 1977. Do you remember things like that?
Yeah, life events. And a life event was, of course, Tom Seaton, the actor who played Tom Seaton, John Nightingale. Yeah. He died very young, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was, that was devastating, yeah. He was a lovely, lovely man, John. Very, very bright. I think he'd been to Durham University before he became an actor. And he was very gentle, and I learned a great deal from John in terms of his patience and the way he approach to script and the way he was with the other actors. He was a gem, he really was a great asset and a terrible loss.
Yeah,
definitely. To the series, yeah.
And what was it like working with James Bolan?
Well, James was a perfectionist and tough, actually, very tough. Didn't suffer fools, probably still doesn't. And I was very foolish and very naive. And he had so much learning to do. He was in almost every scene. I mean, I held my own. I was a very good learner. In fact, he always used to say I had an amazing memory for learning scripts. I never tried, I had an almost photographic memory for scripts, which I don't have now. But yeah, it was tough. He expected the best, and he expected you to give your best game,
So like his character then, I guess, he didn't suffer fools, and in real life as well.
I think everybody expected, anyone who didn't know him, and I didn't know him, expected him to be like his character in The Likely Lads. Be very funny. He wasn't. Not, he took the work very seriously. Like I say, he was a real perfectionist. It wasn't like, it was nothing like Terry in The Likely Lads.
Where were most of the filming locations, do you know?
Well, when we were doing film, like Susan said, we had, the interiors were all done in London, White City, as was, the BBC headquarters and studios at White City. But the exteriors were all done on film, which is really classy. I mean, that doesn't happen now. They don't make things on film, not for television. So we were up in Northumberland and on the coast and some of the mining villages. Very, very authentic locations, yeah. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and I do find that period dramas never date, do they, really?
No, this is the great thing about them. Yeah, you're right. So you can keep on showing them, and I wish the BBC would.
Yeah, it's very odd, isn't it? Because it's such a fantastic series, but I don't think it's ever been showed on the BBC again. It's been shown on many other channels, stations, but...
Yeah, and I don't know how, because although there might be apocryphal to the story, but I have heard that they taped over it. There was a time when the BBC taped over a lot of things and reused the tape.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know, maybe there were copies of it made that were subsequently sold to... I know it goes out in Australia almost every year because we've got close friends in Australia and they say it's always on in Australia.
I mean, if you look online, it is on YouTube and it is...
There's something online, yeah, so I don't know where those copies came from, but yeah, the BBC...
Maybe it's the politics, but that seems weird because that's one of the strongest parts of it, and it's not boring, is it? It's not boring politics.
No, not at all, no. I don't think so. It's pretty soft on politics.
Yeah, and When the Boat Comes In was very true to life of the era, wasn't it?
Well, I wasn't around at the time, but I think it was, yes. I think it was well-researched and beautifully written. We had a marvellous group of writers in James Mitchell, Tom Hadaway, Sid Chaplin, Alex Glasgow, and they were real dyed-in-the-wool Northumbrians. Sid Chaplin had worked in the mines and became, a real man of letters. Alex Glasgow was a folk singer, so very steeped in the history, in Northumbrian history from a musical point of view. And Tom Hadaway was a fisherman. He had a fishing boat and a fish business in North Shields, and also a beautiful lyrical writer and poet. So this producer, Leonard Lewis, really went out of his way, to get authenticity in the writing and in the acting. And I think it really showed.
Yeah, and you say you got those 10 scripts all those years ago. Have you still got any of them?
Gosh, Dad might have them somewhere. I don't know, I've moved house too many times.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, to be fair. But
yeah.
As you say, that was really exciting to get those scripts, wasn't it? Because you didn't know at the time how big your role would be in the show.
I had no idea. And then it increased as well, which sometimes happens when you're working and the writers get an idea of the character and how you're playing it, that also encourages the writers to write for you. So that's often how character develops. They might have some broad storylines, but in terms of how each character arc is developed depends. There's quite a lot of sort of synergy between the actor and the writer. Where it works, where it works well, then the writer will be influenced by the way you play it. And in fact, I think initially, because of the way Dolly's character was introduced as kind of seducing Jack Ford, the idea was that she was going to be a bit fast, a bit common, a bit of a tart, in contrast to very prim and proper Jessie. And I didn't play it like that. I played her as very earthy, very warm, very loving, and I think, that made a difference to the way the writers developed the character. And it actually helped, really, with the marriage with Jack Ford, because it showed, that he was really... They were a mismatch. He wanted somebody like Jessie that was very bright and clever and political, and Dolly wasn't any of those things, but she was an earth mother, very, very warm, sensual. So it was quite fun to not to play the stereotypical tarty character.
Yeah, and I think with Jack and Dolly, it perhaps would have worked if they would have had a kid, perhaps, if they had a baby together. But of course, Dolly has a miscarriage, and then... Maybe,
yeah. But I don't think he was ready for fatherhood either.
No.
He was too ambitious. He wanted to get out of the class that he'd been born into.
And I think that's what's great about it, because you have obviously the working class roots in when the boat comes in, and you've also got the upper class stuff as well.
Yes, you've got the sort of upstairs and downstairs, and now the twain shall meet. But with Jack Ford, that was his whole thing. He wanted to be the boss class, really. He wanted to be part of the boss class. I don't think he ever, had that much admiration for the aristocracy. But he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He wanted to make money. And I think in the subsequent series, he went on to do that. Didn't he get into arms or something?
Yeah. I mean, in the third series, he does start to make some money, and then he goes off to America and does bootlegging, but we never see this, and he comes back, and he's lost everything. That's the fourth series, and he has to rebuild it all over again.
Right. Well, I wasn't in that series.
No. But it was pretty good, but a lot of the original characters weren't in it, sadly.
No, that was probably quite a shame, really. But that was the character. It was about him. It was his series. He wanted to leave that life behind, so those people didn't figure for him anymore.
It's not a bad series, but I do find the first three are the best, really, because the whole Seaton family are in it, whereas in the last series, they're only at the end. They're only in like 2 episodes, so a fantastic series.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, because you must have been very young if you were born at all.
No, I wasn't alive. My parents liked it, and then I watched it, and I love it. I think it's great.
Well, that's nice. It's really nice to have been involved in something like that. I'm very happy.
And do you think it was one of your best roles as an actress?
Yes, probably was, yeah. Yes, I should think it probably was. Although I've always loved... it's funny, people ask you what is your favourite role, and it's always the role that you're working on at the time, because you become so involved in a role that you're working on, either in the theatre or in television, that becomes, your focus. But it was special. It was really special. Mostly probably, the great friends are made for life. Sometimes when a series of actors, when a group of actors get together, it gels, like they almost like become a family. So 2 of the actresses were godmothers to our daughter, and Edward Wilson was godfather to my daughter.
Oh, wow.
With his partner. And, Jean Haywood was a wonderful friend. and I still keep in touch with Kate and Michelle. Ed died sadly young, at the age of 60, but he was a great, great friend and godfather of my daughter. So that was a very important part of the series, and a lot of my memories are about special times that were shared with them.
Yeah, and Jean Hayward was, of course, Bella the mum. She was great, wasn't she? So she had so many great lines.
Yeah, she was marvellous. Yeah, she really inhabited that character, Bella. Yeah, she lived Bella. She really did. Mm-hmm. And that was very much her background initially. Her father had been a miner. She knew that background very well. James Garbett, her husband, he came from a mining family, although he was a teacher before he became an actor. But he was from a mining area. Ed Wilson, who I've just been talking about, his dad was a miner.
So there's a lot of connections, family connections.
Oh yes, so many.
And you say you didn't watch it at the time. Is that a thing?
No.
Some actors, actresses, they just don't like to watch themselves, do they? After they've done it, they're critical. Or...
Yeah. Well, yeah. The bits that I have seen, I cringe. I mean, oh gosh, why did I do it like that? That's very typical. Yeah, you do think that. You think other people are good, but when you watch yourself, you think, oh no, that's awful. But I do think I look very young on it. And I think I look like my daughter, although she's twice the age now that I was at that time. She's twice the age, but she still looks very young. And I think, if I've seen a snippet of it, I think, oh my goodness, looks like my daughter. My daughter's an opera singer.
Oh, nice.
So she gets to play some fabulous parts. And when I see her in a period costume, I think, oh my goodness, you look like Dolly. Well, I do remember burning the special dress. Jack had taken me to a dinner with the posh people.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I ran away. And it was when I ran away with John Nightingale's character, Tom Seaton. And we burned the dress on a bonfire, and I think that was a very scene that stands out for me. Yeah, some of the scenes with Tom were lovely, with Tom Seaton. I like those scenes best.
And it did seem she was more happy after that because she had Tom, but she also had his son as what she always wanted, a son, didn't she, or a baby?
Yeah. Yes, and she couldn't have any children of her own.
Great. Well, it's been lovely to speak to you, Madelaine.
Thank you, Christopher. You too.